influence of ingredients that make life rich. And not every aspect of life is going to be totally balanced if most of these pillars are healthy and will be able to thrive. So we all hear, let's talk about balance. Let's have balance in our life. Sometimes that's not completely the way that we think balance is going to look, appropriately proportioned all the way across the board, right? So sometimes there's a little bit more over here and a little bit more over there. But the bottom line is being able to give attention to all these areas, a little bit more evenly spread. It's not always going to be perfect. So the first thing I'm going to discuss is nutrition. Nutrition is something we all know, eat your fruits and veggies, right? So there's a couple base diets that I like to just use as a jumping point for people to customize their personal nutritional needs. And so the first one is the Mediterranean diet. And the Mediterranean diet is that of fresh vegetables, nuts, whole grains, legumes, high quality fats, moderate fish, small amounts of meat, and just generally whole foods. We all know that, right? So, but, when we give our bodies what it needs to function, it's going to detox on its own. Your liver is going to work better, and we're going to have less inflammation in our bodies. So, when you think about, we literally are, you are what you eat. I know we've all heard that saying, but it's so true. So when you're choosing foods, think about, what do I want to bring into my body? If I want to really be healthy and embrace health, think about what it is you're putting in your body. Because if you put denatured food, highly processed foods in our body doesn't know what to do with it. And it's stored into our fatty tissue, which becomes toxic, and then we become a toxic pool. So with the Mediterranean diet though, you can really cater it. Let it be if you're vegan, vegetarian, paleo. The bottom line is simply just to find balance in that. Getting the proper amounts of your leafy green vegetables, eating from the rainbow, making sure you have whole grains. And even if you're gluten-free, there are grain-like items that you can ingest, quinoa, rice. But we can really just cater that to your specific needs, right? Another aspect is the blood type diet. This has helped me personally. I was a vegan for many years, and come to find out I was a blood type O. And blood type O needs much more red meat than the other blood types, as well as fish, and lots of vegetables and fruits, little grain, little beans, and little dairy. So just really the blood type O wants to focus on meat, right? High quality proteins, but balancing it out with some really good vegetables, dark leafy greens, the cauliflowers, the cabbages, like just enjoy the vegetable world, but you also need some good quality protein along with that. And then minimizing grains, dairy, and beans. The blood type A is pretty much vegetarian. So people who are blood type A do much better when they eat a diet focused on fruits, vegetables, beans, legumes, and whole grains. A blood type B, they do best if they can avoid corn, buckwheat, lentils, tomatoes, peanuts, sesame seeds, and chicken can also be problematic for a blood type B. A blood type B needs to eat plenty of green vegetables, eggs, and a little bit of meat, and low dairy products as well. Type AB does really well with tofu, seafood, dairy, green vegetables, and they really need to steer clear of alcohol and a lot of cured or smoked meats. It just doesn't do well with them. And so what I would do with somebody is to help you figure out what that perfect diet is for you. We would base it on your blood type, as well as the Mediterranean diet, incorporating all those whole foods. And sometimes that's easier said than done, especially if we are busy people, you know, like how am I gonna have these well-rounded meals? Well, that's where planning and restocking your pantry and just having these whole foods accessible versus having chips and so on and so forth, to pull for when you're hungry, right? So restocking your pantry, so go buy bulk nuts, grains, dried fruit. Have some frozen vegetables and fruit in your freezer. Keep your meats and beans stocked up, your nut butters. When you have all of these things accessible, you're going to be using them much more than not, right? So that's where it starts, having these things accessible. Now, I personally follow like 80-20 ratio. So not to say that you shouldn't enjoy, you know, a dessert or certain treats on occasion, but let it be a high quality treat, you know. Don't just eat whatever, you know, that little piece of candy or whatever. Let it be a good quality treat. So when I say 80-20, I mean 80 clean, and then the 20, save that for those, save it for a vacation, for celebrations, having those good quality desserts, decadent desserts. Unless you have some major health issue that you need to be on a therapeutic diet. That would be the only way that I would say not to do this. Some other things, another quick meal that you can do is roasted vegetables. You can buy a lot of pre-cut vegetables, throw a little bit of oil on them, roast them for 20 minutes, and then you have a very tasty, healthy meal that's ready in no time. Something else you could do to improve your diet too is to buy liquid chlorophyll. Chlorophyll really oxygenates your blood and helps to build your blood. So you can either put this in your water, you can add it to your smoothies, whatever works for you. But it's just another add-in that you can do that's really easy. You just have to get it, once again, filling your pantry. There's also an adaptogen herb that you can add to smoothies called maca root, and this gives you energy. So this is something that you would use in the morning time. I would avoid using it later in the day just because it does give you energy and it stimulates you. It doesn't have caffeine, but it does stimulate you. Some other ideas are just to keep some good salad stuff. That always makes a fast meal. Have a tub of greens and then have a good source of protein, and voila, you have a healthy meal in minutes. Let's see, an Instapot is a great investment. You can do so much with it. You can cook well-rounded meals for your family. Just throw all those pre-cut things into the Instapot and you have a meal within half an hour. Or you could use your crock pot. Another cool thing you can do using your Instapot or crock pot is I encourage people to buy, if you eat meat, buy meat that has bones. And so you can save those bones and put them into your Instapot, crock pot, and cook them overnight. And you have your very own, in the morning, you'll have your very own bone stock, which is really wonderful for healing the gut. Um, and, and it's just so wonderful. So that's an easy thing that you could do. Just with the chicken, save all the fat, the bones, throw that into the Instapot. You can use like the ends of celery, onion peels. All these things have nutrients. So the more things you can add to that, it's just going to make it more nutrient dense. And with that, you can drink it in the morning time. You know, tons of good fat, gelatin that you're going to get from this. You can cook your rice with this. These are things that I do with my family, and you know, everyone's getting these health benefits without necessarily having to have soup every day. Let's see. All right, so yes, that is that section. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about with nutrition is cultured foods. So most people have probably heard of kombucha, or as most people know, yogurt is a great way, cultured food that you can get probiotics. But also utilizing cultured vegetables, some of these sauerkrauts that are live with enzymes. They really help your digestibility. They increase your body's ability to absorb nutrients and vitamins from your food. Lacto-fermented vegetables produce helpful enzymes and antibiotics, and they're anti-carcinogenic substances. They also help produce healthy flora throughout your intestines. So, you know, you can, it's just an easy thing. You can make your own, you can buy it. Many stores have cultured vegetables or sauerkrauts. I know Sprouts has a whole cabinet of them, Whole Foods. I've even found it at Costco in a really big container, and it's tasty. Tastes a lot like a pickle if you're not familiar with that. And another element on how to boost your nutrients in your diet is something called infusion. So an infusion is simply just a stronger herbal tea. And so there are certain herbs that have much nutrients, vitamins and minerals, and this is just another way to get those into your body. I pretty much call them like a liquid vitamins, because your body can assimilate it much better than, you know, spending all this money on expensive vitamins, multivitamins. So, and so what you would do with that is you basically just get one of these herbs, and I'm going to share just a couple of them with you. There's a whole list of them that you can do, and that I personally just circulate throughout my week. So what you do is you take a little bit of the herb. So I would say anywhere from about 2 to 4 tablespoons to like 1 quart of water. And then you let it steep for 4 to 6 hours. And then you would strain off the plant material, and then you have this vitamins and mineral rich tea. Stinging nettles is one of them. Stinging nettles is loaded with vitamin A, vitamin C, fatty acids, minerals, iron, magnesium, potassium, calcium. Alfalfa, it's high antioxidant. It's loaded with vitamin C and K, copper, folate, and magnesium. Oat straw is loaded in calcium, and it's loaded with vitamins that your body needs to best use and assimilate calcium. Because a lot of times people will take calcium supplements, but their body is not absorbing it. And that's not necessarily good either, because it can, if you have a buildup of this calcium, it can actually down the road produce weak bones because you have calcification in your system. And with that, the oat straw, it also lowers cholesterol and it helps to improve circulating and making blood vessels more elastic. And so we want to be more flexible and pliable in life. You know, that's really the key, is to find health through flexibility and ease, which is much easier said than done. The next pillar I'm going to talk about is stress and sleep, and this is huge. Rest is so overlooked, and we become so depleted. We become humans doing and not humans being. Rest is necessary for our bodies to repair, for healing, and even for information to be integrated. So whenever we relax, find ourselves in that state of deep relaxation and sleep, our brain shifts information, and it's able to synthesize the information differently, so that really within sleep and being able to have these quiet times, we're able to have solutions. Solutions will just come. So you can do this even with meditation and just allowing your brain to slow down and not be stuck in the hamster wheel of the next thing we need to do. You know, sleep has been demonstrated to really help employees be more productive, because you have energy, you feel good, you can think clear. And so I really encourage people to invest in themselves. And once again, much easier said than done. But finding that balance in your life can really make a huge difference for just your overall well-being. So there's a problem that some people have, that we are not able to fall asleep easily. And so this can be a sign of adrenal fatigue, thyroid issues, anxiety, that feeling tired but wired, is something many people experience. And there are a lot of ways that you can help to wind yourself down. Nutritional elements, and finding balance, once again, can help you to overcome this. And I'm going to share a few things with you. So what happens when you have a lack of sleep? So we have our stress response, right? So when our bodies are not getting the proper sleep, our cortisol levels go up, just like when we're stressed. And we stay in that constant state. There is, let's see, sorry. Let me wind back. Okay, so when we have that heightened stress for long periods of time, your cortisol levels are sky high, which creates loads of toxins in your body, and your body is really taxed. So it is going to affect your adrenals, and so in the long run can turn into adrenal fatigue, and thyroid issues, and chronic inflammation. So individuals who have hypothyroidism, you know, really need to be mindful of this stress factor. And now, when I talk about stress, stress is emotional stress too. So not only like the external, all these million things you have to do. So being able to, once again, dial back, allow yourself to have those down moments, can really help to decrease that inflammation and really help to nourish your adrenals, that we all need help with, right? Especially in our day and age. So let's see. Excuse me here, I'm going through my notes. Okay, so another thing that you can use to help with all of these cortisol spikes and inability to sleep is utilizing some herbs in a class called adaptogens. And adaptogens help your body from a chemical level to reduce stress. So therefore, your outer world, you're able to handle stress when it comes to you, and you're not having those cortisol spikes, which just helps you better all in all across the board, right? It can also help to improve your sleep because you're not in that fight or flight zone. You'll feel more energized. It increases stamina. Maca is one of those herbs. I talked about that earlier. It's a superfood, and it really does give you energy. Helps with libido. It helps with your concentration level. And it just helps to keep an overall improved balance of your hormones. And it just regulating effect, right? So the next thing here I'm going to share is just a few other things that you can do to help with stress and sleep. So prioritize sleep. At the end of the day, carve out, slowing down time for yourself. For me, I personally love to enjoy a cup of herbal tea. And so when you make a cup of herbal tea, you really want it to be a strong herbal tea, not just like one tea bag. So I really encourage people to buy bulk and then use the little tea balls for this. Because if you want to get a medicinal quality from one of these teas, you really want to have like 3 tea bags worth versus just one. So it's not going to be strong enough. So it might relax you a little bit, but if you want to really get a good punch from it, I would recommend doing 3 tea bags worth of herbs within that cup of tea. So a couple of those teas are chamomile, lavender, lemon balm, which is a wonderful antiviral as well, hops, catnip, which catnip can actually help with your belly. So if you have gas, upset belly, it's a really great thing for that. And in worst case scenario, reach for some valerian root. Valerian root is really strong, and I don't recommend using that on a regular basis, but it's something to reach for if you've tried all these other things and you simply just can't get to sleep. Valerian root is something I would reach for. Some other things that you can use to help yourself get to sleep would be calcium magnesium supplements. There's a product out there called Naturally Calm. You make it into a tea drink, and it just helps to really nourish and calm your system. Something else to be mindful of is try not to have caffeine in the second half of the day. Get up, have your cup of coffee, tea, whatever it is that you do, but try to avoid having caffeine in the middle of the day if you can keep from that, because that is going to just keep you piped up and hyped. So when it comes time to go to bed, your mind is still going to be going. So that is one thing to try to avoid if you can. So at bedtime or just before bedtime, when you're having your tea, you can do journaling, or something that I call a brain dump. So brain dump is simply just having like a journal, a little notebook, and then just write down anything that's in your mind. There has to be no rhyme or reason. It could be anything from somebody made you mad to grocery lists to some of your deeper thoughts. Put it on the paper. This is going to help you to get it out of your mind, and it's not going to sit with you as deeply, and your wheels won't be turning as much when you try to go to bed. Another thing to think about and to try is to use some meditations, use some breath works. I usually like to incorporate a positive affirmation within my meditation. let it be first thing in the morning and or at bedtime. So whatever that might be for you, just a positive message. This is going to be a way to reprogram your thought process. Because if we hear something over and over and over again, this is a way to reprogram our cells, and just to change that habit for yourself. There's a breath work is amazing to help calm and oxygenate your body. A really simple, quick breathwork exercise that you can do, and you can do this throughout the day if you're stressed. You can do it at bedtime, but simply just breathing in to 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 in, hold it for a moment, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And once you've done that several times, if you can expand your numbers, try going in 6, out 12. But the bottom line is to inhale a shorter number, exhale double the number. And this is just going to help to calm your system down and help you get into a more relaxed state. And to end that note, I want to add just a little saying here that Deepak Chopra, I had found on one of his sites. And just a reminder, the best use of imagination is creativity. So a lot of this stuff we create in our own minds, right? So the worst use of imagination is anxiety, creating all those big problems in our mind. So trying to flip the switch and utilize that energy in more of a healthy way, a creative outlet. So, all right. So the next thing I want to share is talking about another element called epigenetics. And so there are many factors that affect your health. Epigenetics is, it surrounds, areas that surround your genes and determine your genetic tendencies. These are called epigenetics. These can be activated or inhibited by your diet, your lifestyle, and even how you view the world, how you handle stress. All these things are learned acts, right? So if you know that all the people in your family have a really hard time dealing with stress, well, that's power. And a lot of those people might have more of a tendency towards depression, anxiety, high blood pressure. All of these things would fall under the category of somebody who has a hard time dealing with stress, right? So, but if you know this is power for you. So knowing where you came from and those genetic tendencies, how are you going to feed them, right? So knowing these things is power. So going back to, say your family doesn't deal with stress well. So what can you do to change that genetic coding within yourself? And so just like I was previously talking about, using those mantras to change your mindset. Instead of thinking about all the bad things, turn it to the good things that you want to call into your life, right? Find different ways of coping with stress. And all of these things are going to help you not fall under that same category. You are going to reprogram your cells, your genes. And so the next coming generations, you can change that course for your children in the future of your family. So a big thing that a lot of us don't think about, cancer. You know, cancer really thrives on sugar and not having a lot of oxygen. So sometimes, and I'm not going to say this is for all the time, because sometimes our genes are such that, maybe your ancestors lived near somewhere where there was runoff of pesticides and whatnot. So they had received cancers. So these things were programmed into our systems, right? So if we can do things to shift our body's response, so utilizing foods and finding ways to detox our bodies is going to prevent us from possibly not getting cancer. You know, cancer can be like a manifestation of like negativity. So there was a lot of heavy negative, it's an accumulation of toxins, right? It's this growth, this mutation of genes. So if you can change your mindset, that can help with that. Minimizing your sugar intake, and really upping, knowing that there's cancer in your lineage, really upping the game, really incorporating foods, whole foods that help to detoxify. If you know this is in your genes, they're doing cleanses ever so often to really cleanse your system, getting your lymphatic system moving. All of these areas are things that you would really want to give more attention to, just to help change the cell messaging. All right, and that leads into physical movement. So physical movement helps to keep your body supple, helps to keep your lymph glands cleared of toxins, and have them working effectively. It helps to improve your blood sugar utilization and your blood sugar balance. It helps to relieve anxiety, and it'll keep you strong. So as you age, it can prevent you from having fractures, osteoporosis, so on and so forth. So movement can also help your body to move energy, move stress, right? So all those physical stresses that we're getting from the outside world, we hold in our bodies. And so unless you have ways to move that energy, it's gonna fester in our bodies, and we're gonna end up with tight muscles, stagnant tissues, and you're just simply not gonna be as healthy. So, so really sweating, moving the body, however that needs to be. So with that though, something I really want to share with people is if you know, if you are dealing with some of these inabilities to sleep and you think you might be hypothyroidism or anything in that category, adrenal fatigue, you want to be mindful of that when you are exercising, because there is such a thing as stressing your system with exercising too hard. So what I would encourage for somebody is to find balance with their movement, right? So if you are low and in the dumps as far as energy goes, you really need to do light movement. So like yoga, movement, dance, walking, light things that are not going to tax your system necessarily, but they're going to create flow and oxygenate your body. But working out really hard can be really good for you as well, as long as you're not in that category. But once again, you want to find the balance. You want to work out really hard one day and then allow your body the time to stretch and relax and restore and heal. So yeah, so that is very important as well. All right, I see I'm running low on time. I'm gonna have to get through this really fast and then be done here. I apologize for getting started a little late, but the last part is having a sense of purpose in life. Whenever you feel happy and you feel satisfied with things, you're releasing feel-good hormones. So having this satisfying feeling can really help to improve your overall fulfillment. We're wired to want to be meaningful people and to do good. And so being able to find purpose really leads to greater emotional and physical health, and can really foster and optimize, just your positive social relationships as well. There's also, when you have a sense of purpose, there's a connection of pathways in the brain that happens. There's been studies that show that older folks who are doing things that feel really meaningful to them, they're less likely to experience a lot of issues with Alzheimer's. So it's very powerful. So, well, what is that for you? Some people just know what they love and what makes them feel good. And some have been so caught up in life and making life happen that we're removed from that. So, I really encourage you all, and to think about things that come easy to you. What's something that you really love? What feels really good when you're doing it? Is it painting a picture and sharing your art? Is it helping homeless shelters? Is it through your career, your job? Any form of self-expression can be this for you. So, really taking time to sit with yourself and rest and explore what those things might be. Listen to your inner guidance, what your heart is telling you. And once again, just coming back to what feels easy to you and what do you love. And these are our great gifts. We're all here to share beauty, and whatever that is for you, let it be, a hobby, a career, whatever it is, we all have something. And I really encourage you to explore what that might be for yourself and allow yourself that little bit of time to enjoy that, because, satisfaction is, you're just going to have a more abundant and happy life overall. You can have all of the other pillars I've discussed taken care of, but if this area is not taken care of, you're just not going to be well. So let me end on a little quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. "The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, and to be compassionate, and to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well." That means you will find happiness in taking care of others, doing something good in this world, whatever that might be for you. So thank you all very much for joining me. You can contact me through Champ Elite Wellness. I am a wellness coach. I'm happy to help you, guide you on your journey to wellness. And thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.